Hey guys, this is a very special time for my YouTube channel and for myself because I won the Gen Con Limited Championship, which was the event that I really wanted to take down at Gen Con. So this is me right after I won the finals, but I'm just going to walk through all of my Gen Con experience starting off. So this was day one. There was a draft at 10 a.m. This was a pretty low stakes draft. I don't remember. I think my Pack 1 Pick 1 was probably Rolling Boulder. There's kind of something pretty amazing about Pack 1 Pick 1 Rolling Boulder. I've had that a few times, and it just feels so good to have a Pack 1 Pick 1 that like doesn't send you in any specific direction. Like it's just good in every single deck. What other sweet stuff from beta is there in here? Is Rebel Boggart from... No, I think that's Arthurian Legends. There is one Firebolt hiding behind here. Anyway, I'm not going to go through the whole draft or anything, but so I've got a Violent, I've got two Sir Gawains, which was pretty nuts to have two of those, and then a Firebolt, and then obviously hiding right here, we've got a Ring of Morrigan that I opened pack 2, so right away my luck was on my side with this draft, so kind of easily went 3-0. I mean, Koinixie plus Rolling Boulder is pretty busted. Double Ripple Boggart, double Sir Gawain. House Arm Batterman's pretty amazing. I've got 4 Shelly Coats, a bunch of amazing 2-drops. Pretty easy 3-0 here, and I've got busted fixing. Like, I've got 4 fire cards, and I only have 1 fire sight because I've got a Valuable Light and an Oasis. That just makes it absolutely free to splash. There wasn't any, like, huge prizing or anything for this event. It was just, like, pack per win or something. I think I got a couple little bonus prizes, but I'll get to those at the end. And then day 2, so this is the limited championship. There was 80 people there. I opened this as my sealed, though this was a really tricky build actually. So I was able to go water fire. So when I drafted this deck, I was considering either doing what I did, which was splashing air for lightning bolt plus 2 Highland Clansmen, or I could just stick to fire and water and play like a Tide Naiads, a Saracen Scout, and a Degradation. And I ended up wanting to splash, so I just have a Treetop Hideout and a Lone Tower, so those are pretty nice sites to be able to jam in there. Highland Clansmen are super splashable. I don't love having 7 drops in my deck, but at least they have charge, so these are pretty acceptable 7 drops, I would say. And in sealed, things are a little bit slower, so you can play more expensive cards and be okay. I had an Unland Angler in my deck originally, and I ended up cutting it to put the Saracen Scout in. I just wanted to have a curve that looked a little bit better. It just looked kind of sketchy to only have 4 things to do on turns 1 and 2. And then I did end up playing the Degradation anyway. I'm kind of low on that card, but in sealed, I think it's a little bit better. There's a lot of big mortals, and people are just going to splash all of their Sirs and stuff. So this was an okay deck. Wasn't super thrilled, but I definitely had to earn it with this deck. Decent Sweeter removal. The Godsped Helmet was okay. I actually had an enemy like kill my unit that was carrying it with like a lightning bolt or something, and then steal it with their avatar and run away from me. That was kind of funny, but yeah, I just ended up getting there. Like, none of my opponents were really beating face, which meant that I had enough time to get to my 2 Highland Clansmen, and those just ran the game a couple times. Yeah, not too special of a sealed pool, but this one I had to scrap out, so I went 4-0 with this sealed deck. I did play James. That was probably my closest match was against James. I don't remember exactly what happened in that game, but I just know that he's a very good player, and that was a very close game. And then we moved on to the top 8 draft. Oh, and I should also say my luck was on my side in the sealed pool as well, because I opened a Shifting Sands Curio. This is the first Curio I've ever opened, and the reason it's a Curio is that it has an alpha symbol, which is like an homage to them doing a misprint in alpha or something. I think the alpha Shifting Sands have a copyright symbol instead of the alpha symbol or something, but this is actually a Curio. It's not just like a misprint. According to eBay sold listings, it's worth like $200, so that was a pretty nice open. All right, and then, so this is the standings after round 4. So Rapid Wombat, Murray, Ira, Faye, everyone knows Ira, Christian V, Peter H, which, by the way, Peter H was also in the semifinals for the Crossroads event. He was playing Steam Druid, and he had like 3 swaps in his deck, which was funny. And then I was the only other person who was 4-0 at that time. So 5 of us were 4-0 at the end of the sealed, and then you go into a top 8 draft. So things got a little weird with the top 8 draft. So 3 people that were 3-1 were supposed to be in the top 8 draft. And then some weird thing happened where the person that was supposed to be our table, one of the people that was 3-1, ended up not finding their seat at our table, and they found their seat at a different table because someone had the same name as them, and then the person that was supposed to be sitting there didn't show up. So then it was like this weird situation where we were sitting around waiting for our 8th person, and the other pods had already started drafting. So it was awkward. Like, they tried to think of a way to fix it. I think maybe they could have just like scrapped that draft and had that person come over to us and draft with us, because it just feels really bad to have a bye in the top 8 draft, you know, like that's pretty awkward. That's what they ended up doing though, and I don't really I have no ill will about the fact that they did that. Like, I didn't get a bye in the top 8 any of my games, so I feel good about that. It would have been kind of weird if like I had a bye and then I won the next 2 games and then won the limited championship, and it's like, really, I only had to win 6 games instead of 7 games to win the championship. But anyway, that's not how it played out anyway, so it's totally okay. So the seeding for the draft was me, and then Peter H, who was on Steam Druid in the Crossroads event. He's a very good player. Rabid Wombat Murray was sitting to the left of him, and then it was Ira Faye directly across the table from me. So that's who I played round 1. And then Christian V, I don't really know. And then Ira's son was in the pool. So Ira's son was in our pod, and he, like, first time I met him, and he is like a crazy good sorcery player, of course, being Ira's kid. I never got a chance to play him, unfortunately, but I've heard that he just like absolutely crushed people out of nowhere, and they just weren't expecting this kid to be so good at sorcery, so that's really funny. To the left of Ira's son was Golden Eagle Bruce, that everyone knows. Bruce was passing to me in packs 1 and 3, and one thing that I know about Bruce is that he really likes single threshold cards. I just recorded a thing with him reviewing his draft because he recorded his draft and our final match. So if you want to watch our commentary on that, you can go to his YouTube channel and find that. I think he's publishing it probably on Monday. That was a good conversation. Definitely check that out. So let's get into the draft. So this is what I drafted in pack 1. I was able to kind of piece this together after watching Bruce's video. Pack 1, pick 1, I had the choice between Sorcerer and Poison Nova. Like, I just opened pack 1 and was immediately like, oh my god. Like, day 1 I opened Ring of Morrigan, and then in sealed I opened a Curio that's worth $200, and then at the top 8 draft table I opened Sorcerer and Poison Nova, 2 like completely busted cards. Like, Poison Nova is probably like an A, and Sorcerer is probably like above an A+, I would say. Like, it might be the only like S tier card in all of sorcery right now. I do end up thinking about it for a minute because I have never drafted Sorcerer in limited. I think it's like the most busted card ever, even going into this draft, having no experience with it. Like, just read the card. It says tap, draw spell. And sorcery limited is all about getting 2-for-1s and outvaluing your opponent, getting good trades, things like that. And with Sorcerer, you just need to delay the game to the point where you can start double drawing, and you will just grind your opponent out. Like, even if they get 2-for-1s against you, like, that's almost like a 1-for-1 for me, because I can just draw 2 cards every turn at a certain point. Right away, my plan is to draft a deck that has a low curve, because I don't want to have to get to like 6 or 7 sites ever, because that just means that I'm taking time away from drawing extra spells, because every site that you draw and then tap to play a site, that's 2 spells you just gave up in order to play 1 additional site. Sorcerer's busted. That's what I took. If you look, they all have this cool little like blue stamp on it. So I'm gonna definitely like hold on to my cool Sorcerer here that has the blue stamp. I do have all 45 of my blue stamped cards. It's got like a little blue dragon. That's really cool. So anyway, so Sorcerer, pack 1, pick 1. Amazing. I feel great about this draft already. Like, I just need to not mess this up, basically. I get past an East-West Dragon, which was like suspicious from Bruce, but I was assuming like it's double threshold, and I know he doesn't like double threshold cards, especially early in packs, so I just felt like blessed that he passed me such a bomb. It turns out his pack one pick one was Tor's Hammer Trinket, which is a pretty amazing card. I don't know which pick is right. Like, I might have taken East West Dragon over Tor's Hammer Trinket, just because it's such a powerful card, but honestly, the Trinket is very powerful on its own. Like, it allows you to just spend your mana every turn and get a little bit of extra damage in all the time, and super annoying to play around, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm super happy to get this East West Dragon, and then I think I get Village, and then I take a bunch of good air cards, so Roaming Monster, Blink, and then I spec on a good water card that's still in the pack, and then I take Cloud Spirits, and then this Vril Revenant is what the rare was in my pack. There's a slot in beta pack that is either an ordinary sight or it's an ordinary avatar. So it's either Geomancer, Wave Shaper, Spark Mage, Flame Caller, or Sorcerer. So Sorcerer just ends up getting opened in 40, 15, 16. One in every 17 packs, I believe, will have a Sorcerer in it. And that's just way too many packs, honestly. That's like one every single time you draft like 3 packs of beta. Like, out of 18 packs, there will be on average one Sorcerer. And that's the reason why I should mention Sorcerer is banned in our online drafts, because it's just so freaking powerful. Like, you can just draw 2 cards every turn, and it just breaks limited, because limited's all about attrition, like I said. So it's kind of a feel bad that Sorcerer was legal at this event, and I first picked Sorcerer in my top 8 draft, and then I took first. You know, to be fair, I have beaten Sorcerer in limited before playing Spellslinger. It's just really hard to do. Like, you really just need to like absolutely steamroll your opponent when you're up against a Sorcerer, because you just can't allow them to get to the point where they can start double drawing, because they'll just run you over from there. They'll just outvalue you forever if the game goes past turn like 10. I feel pretty lucky about that. We just ran a poll in the Discord about Sorcerer, and I think 1 out of 10 people voted for it to be legal, and everyone else voted for it to be either just a dead card in the pack, or what most people are voting for is for it to be a wild card, and they want it to be like Geomancer, Wave Shaper, Spark Mage, or Flame Caller. So I think that's what we're going to keep doing in our drafts. If you drafted this online, if you guys do a paper event, maybe consider doing an errata to Sorcerer and having it be a wild card or just a dead card or something, because it's that broken. Like, it'll just kind of wreck the draft if you draft it. So anyway, so I end up wheeling my Vril Revenant. I'm still not really sure what to think about this card. I don't think it's that powerful. So it's 2 mana, 1 power, Void Walk, and you can pay 1 for it to gain 1 power. So you can just like dump a bunch of mana into it to make it really big for a turn. I don't think it's that impressive, but it is a big threat if it's just sitting there unchecked, or if it's just on their board, like they just can't really play anything close to it because they'll just dump mana into it and attack with it. So I think it's an okay card, but it just gets picked off by too many cheap removal spells. So I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do end up playing it. And I take Riptide, Snow Leopard. It's funny, Snow Leopard actually ends up being pretty good, I think, in Sorcerer decks, because you just want to spend all of your mana all the time, and you want to have a really low curve. And this came up a bunch of times where I had like 5 mana and I had a 4-drop and a Snow Leopard in hand, and I could just play 2 spells that turn that I otherwise just wouldn't be able to do because there's not that many good 1-drops. This actually ended up making my deck, and it was totally great. This felt like kind of a late digger Dwarven Digging Team. I think that card's just kind of fine. It's not amazing, but I spec'd on it kind of over nothing, honestly, because it's the last 5 packs of beta, so none of these other cards are gonna matter at all. But going into pack 2, I have Sorcerer, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 good playable air cards, and then I have Village, Dwarven Digging Team as 2 good earth cards, and then I have Unland Eel and Riptide as 2 good playable water cards, and I have 0 fire cards, and I really didn't see much fire go my way. Pack 2, I open Siege Giant, and I just slam it. I mean, I'm not locked into water or earth. They were just like speculation picks that I took. Siege Giant's just an incredible card. It just blinks something every turn. It's a 4 mana, 4 power minion. Everyone knows how great Siege Giant is, so I just take it, and then I end up getting a couple of good fire cards following up with that. So Puka's Reckless Squire, pretty happy to see those. And then I grab a bunch more air cards. So Treetop Hideout, Band of Thieves, Vanishment. Vanishment, it's so funny. In talking to Nick, he keeps trying to convince me to just play Vanishment, and I know it's a good card. I just never end up putting it in my deck because it just feels kind of bad to put Vanishment in instead of like a removal spell or instead of a solid minion or something, or like if it means that I have to be playing 9 magics to play Vanishment, like that feels weird because then I have less minions. But this draft ended up being absolutely perfect for it. So I think I ended up with 16 minions and 8 non-minion spells, and Vanishment was one of them, and it's just an amazing spell. So at some point I get Sir K. I think this was 7th pick, Sir K. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7th or 8th pick, Sir K. And this one was kind of sketchy. So it's double fire, air, earth. I don't really have any reason to splash anything yet. So I'm looking at this potentially being a splash card. And splashing in Sorcerer doesn't feel great because I don't ever want to be in a situation where I have to keep drawing sights instead of drawing spells, because like I said, you just want to get to like 5, maybe 6 sights in play and then just start drawing the Sorcerer. So I kind of regretted doing this, but I do end up splashing for Sir K, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then I get a Joust, 2 Common Cottagers, which is great for my splash for Sir K. And then I had a Castle Servants. And then, kind of funny, I took this Helpful Hob. I don't think I took it over like anything important, but the reason that I took it was because this pack was going to the right, and I know that Bruce really likes Helpful Hob. So as a way to, I know my opponents, and I'm drafting in a way that is trying to hurt my opponents. So I take this Helpful Hob away from Bruce, and I bet he would have played this Helpful Hob if he had the choice to get it 13th pick or whatever. And then, yeah, Thankless Squire, Omnisile, who cares? And then I literally, so during the drafting process at Gen Con, you had to draft your cards, put them in a face down pile in front of you, and you're not allowed to look at the cards until you're in between packs. So pack 1, so for non-minion spells, I have Blink. That's it from pack 1. Pack 2, I have Vanishment, Joust, which I'm not that big of a fan of Joust. So between packs 2 and 3, I look at my pool and I'm like, okay, I've got a really great minions. I'm solidified in air, fire at this point. Even though I don't have that many fire cards, like I just know fire is a super deep element. I'm literally like, okay, I really want to draft some interaction in pack 3. And then I open my pack and there's just a fire breathing right there at the front of the pack. I'm just like, okay, like you gotta be kidding me right now. So I slam fire breathing. It's just an excellent spell. I even have some beasts that can cast it. And then I get past a magic missiles and I just slam that. Like I'm just so giddy going into pack 3 like this. And then Weightless Squire is perfect. I love to have 2 Lance minions in my decks. So I have a Reckless Squire, now I have a Weightless Squire. That's perfect. Treetop Hideout is kind of a busted site. I love that. Pendragon Banner is what I get 5th pick. So if you listen to my Arthurian Legend set review that I did with Nick, for the elites and uniques, we talk about Pendragon Banner a little bit, and I was unsure about this card. I think I gave it like a B still, or maybe a B plus, and I was like, this card looks pretty amazing when I read it, but for some reason in the past I've just been like kind of unsure about it. Like I might have passed it and given it to someone 5th pick earlier, like even like a month or 2 ago. But when you do set reviews, there's just something about like re-evaluating all of the cards in the set and just reading every single one and being like, how powerful is this? Let's think about some scenarios for this card. And it turns out like Pendragon Banner is just kind of a busted card. So it was like so shocked when I got this 5th pick. So I gave it like a B plus in our set review. I think Nick gave it an A plus. Like he just thinks this card is absolutely a monster. And I totally agree after having played with it. This was my first experience with it. So it is a 4-mana relic. It's elite, and nearby allies have +1 power as long as there are no enemies here. So it's wherever the banner is. So you have to be carrying the banner. I always just put it in my sorcerer's hands where it's the safest. Move my sorcerer up, Pendragon Banner into his hands, and then basically everything on my board is just +1 power. Like literally the entire board is kind of covered by this ability. There was only a couple times ever that this actually got turned off by my opponent's minions by like getting them on top of my sorcerer. and I was able to get them off of it. Like when I untapped, I just like, there was a time that I like cast Joust to like move their thing off of the Pendragon banner. That was pretty cool. Or just casting removal spells, whatever. But yeah, this was another just like, I got really lucky that the people passing to me don't realize how amazing Pendragon banner is. And I just so happened to talk to Nick about how busted this card is right before this event happened. So really the stars just aligned for me in this draft. Picked up a Burning Hands, another great piece of removal I wanted. This pick doesn't look exciting, but it actually was a little bit funny. There's a Shameless Squire in a pack, and there's this Hunter's Lodge in a pack, and there's no chance I'm playing this Shameless Squire. I'm not playing any water, and I am planning on splashing for Earth, so normally I would take a Hunter's Lodge. I actually just take this Shameless Squire, and that was kind of like a hate draft. Like, I wasn't really giving up anything important. Like, I think I played this Hunter's Lodge, and I don't think it ended up ever turning off stealth a single time, so that's just kind of how Hunter's Lodge works a lot of the time. Like, it really doesn't do much. But the reason I took the Shameless Squire is because of the Pendragon banner. Like, if they ever just knock Pendragon banner out of the sorcerer's hands, like even just by knocking it out of his hands, it's no longer active because it has to be carried for there to be like nearby allies, because it's allies of whoever's controlling the banner at the time. So this can just totally hose Pendragon banner and blow me out. So I actually just kind of hate draft this, and I don't normally do that, but like I said, it was over like a pretty bad card, so that was kind of an interesting pick, I thought, and I do end up wheeling this Hunter's Lodge anyway. Shrewd Hunter's Forge, Powerflight, Castle Servants. So I end up with 4 families. So this is my deck after pack 3. So this is what I built. I've got Snow Leopard, I've got 4 families, 2 Earth and 2 Air, and then this Real Revenant, Sherwood Huntress, Cloud Spirits, Reckless Squire. So I got the 2 Squires I'm really happy with. Puka's is just a nice, like, it's like pretty much always a 2-for-1 or easily a 1-for-1, and it soaks up some damage or something. Band of Thieves is just great. Siege Giant. And then, yeah, this Sir K I'll talk about in a second, but yeah, and then East West Dragon, Roaming Monster. Yeah, I've got some great removal. Pendragon Banner is just a bomb. This Vanishment ended up winning me a game or 2. I will never underestimate Vanishment anymore. Yeah, and then my mana base is 5/5/2. I think if I were to rebuild this deck, I would at least cut one of these Earth sites. I might even consider cutting both, which you should never do. But the reason that I'm saying that is I underestimated how much of my deck I was going to be drawing with Sorcerer. In 2 out of my 3 games, I end up drawing 20 plus spells. Like, one of the games I could have drawn 24 spells. And then the other game, I think I only had like 2 spells in my deck at the end of my first game. So that just means like I'm just gonna see one of these Cottagers and Sir K, and I'm just gonna be able to get to 6 mana and then play Cottagers, play Sir K. And yeah, that just didn't really occur to me, and I just put these 2 Earth sites in. Luckily, it didn't end up ever mattering. I drew 2 Fire, 2 Air, and sometimes I drew an Earth site, sometimes I didn't. In game 1, that's exactly what happened. I just drew all Fire and Air sites, and then at some point I got to 6 mana, and I just played Common Cottagers Sir K. And that was really cool. Game 1, I want to talk about a little bit. So it was against Ira. Very great opponent. Obviously, he like runs all the leagues and knows sorcery in and out. So Ira was on Earth Fire. Yeah, one awkward thing happened right away. So I am so used to playing Spellslinger that I drew 3 sites and 4 spells. I started doing my mulliganing, and in the middle of my mulligan, I realized, oh shoot, I accidentally drew 4 spells instead of 3. We called a judge. The judge came over, and they were trying to figure out how to resolve the weird mess up that I did. Honestly, thank you so much to the judges that made the call that they ended up making, which was, it's exactly what I would have done if I was just in like a regular paper event at my local game store or something, which is I just redid my hand. Like, I just shuffled my deck, and then I drew myself new sites and spells, and then I did my mulligan. So thankfully that's what we did. I felt really bad that I messed up like before like turn 0 of the top 8 draft first game, but it turned out, yeah, everyone was cool about it. Yeah, I'm really glad they didn't just like make it so I had like 1 less card in hand, or they just like let Ira draw another card or something. Like, that would have just felt really bad if I ended up losing that game. And like what if I hadn't been the limited champion just because I messed up, like I made a silly mistake and just accidentally drew 4 spells, and like it wouldn't have had any effect on the game at all. Like clearly I should just shuffle and redo my hand. So anyway, that's what happened. Game 1 against Ira was the closest game I had by far in the top 8 draft. He got me down to 1. I had him on Death's Door, and then another kind of funny thing happened where I had a Vanishment in hand. There were 4 cards left in my deck, and I wanted to look at my deck list, and we called a judge. They made sure it was legal. They read the guidelines that Ira wrote, and he said in there, you can look at your deck list. So luckily I had already typed my deck list into Curiosa for this exact reason. And I wanted to see what are the last 4 cards in my deck. And I didn't like look through and make sure I knew exactly what the last 4 cards were. I just wanted to know, okay, what are the kill spells that I could just draw right now if I cast Vanishment? And the reason was, like, I thought I had a Magic Missiles in my deck, and I did. So Magic Missiles was one of the last 4 cards in my deck, and I wasn't in line of sight with my Sorcerer. So I could tap my Sorcerer to draw a spell, but if I drew Magic Missiles, then I just wouldn't be able to kill him that turn. I end up looking at my deck list. I see that there's a Magic Missiles in the next 4 cards, so I just end up casting Banishment. And I didn't even realize it at the time, but I also had a Blink in my deck. So I cast Banishment, I had like 4 minions in play or something, give them all stealth, I draw Blink, and then I cast Blink. I blink one of my things by his avatar and attack, and that was the death blow. So that was a pretty amazing game. This is my screenshot that I took when I beat Ira, because that's just amazing. Like, who gets to play Ira in paper and actually win? And then game 2, I played against Peter H. He was playing Water Fire, and he had some waterbound stuff. So he had Sea Serpent and Pirate Ship, which ended up, like, I don't have any water in my deck, so those cards are pretty much just dead against me. Like, obviously I still have to get through them to deal damage, but he did make like a wall of water in the front row, so I did have to kill that stuff that was up there, but I just ended up getting like some 2-for-1s that were really nice against him. Like, I had the play where I had Siege Giant in play, and I had a Sorcerer with a Pendragon banner on it, so it had 5 power, and he had a Pirate Ship directly in front of my Siege Giant. And the play that I made was cast Joust. Your thing goes onto my land site, my Siege Giant goes onto your water site, so then your Pirate Ship is now disabled, it doesn't deal damage, and then they fight, and then my thing just kills your thing. So that was pretty amazing. Just like super overperformed in this deck. It was pretty fun. I still think it's like a C or a C minus, but it's a fine card for sure. Yeah, so I ended up like making the game go a little bit long and double draw a bunch of times, and just I drew my entire deck against him. I drew 23 out of 24 spells, and I just started drawing out of my Atlas because I wasn't sure if, like, he was playing water, and I couldn't remember if Sealy Court said if you draw a spell or if you draw cards. So in case he happened to have a Sealy Court, I didn't want to just randomly lose to getting decked by it. Going into the final match against Bruce, I was actually the only person that was 6-0 at that point, which made it kind of awesome. Like, like being the only person that was 6-0 meant that I play Bruce, he's 5-1. If Bruce beats me, then we're both 6-1. And then anyone who's 6-1 gets to play another game. So I have to lose against Bruce and then lose my next game to not take first place in the limited championship. But lucky for everyone there, I just defeated Bruce in our first game, and we didn't have to do this like extra game nonsense. So I just had like a clean 7-0, and this is me right after that game. So I was very excited. I got my awesome stamped Sorcerer here, and they gave me a box of Dragon Lord, which is really cool. I've actually got 2 boxes of Dragon Lord up here. I bought one at the booth during the after that first draft that I did, and then I ended up winning one, which is really cool. So I'm probably just gonna hold on to that one forever. And then these are my like 7 packs that I won, because you get pack per win. What an incredible event. Again, if you want to watch that final game against Bruce, we just did commentary on that, so that'll be released soon. You can watch that. And then, oh, here's me with my eyes closed. So that's a good one. Okay, so the next day was the Crossroads event. So I played Death Speaker. I went 4-3. It's constructed. I don't really care that much about constructed, so I didn't really care that much about losing. But my first opponent played Death Speaker, and I cast Feast for Crows, and I named Nimbus Djinn. And I looked through his deck, and he's playing the Crave Golem, Candlemass Monks, Kythera Mechanism combo, so he can get infinite turns. And then I, like, throughout the course of the game, I end up with like 20 cards in hand or something crazy. And I Summoning Sphere, Nimbus Djinn, and then discard 6 cards, put you at Death's Door. And then I've got just like a bunch of burn spells and stuff, like easily able to win on my next turn. I pass the turn to him, and he just like, I'm at 20 life, and he proceeds to cast Candlemass Monks, Kythera Mechanism, Crave Golem, and then go to my turn. Crave Golem kills Candlemass Monks, ends my turn, and then he just like goes on, and he's casting Rescue and getting the monk back, and then he's casting Raise Dead and choosing the monk because he has Kythera Mechanism, and just like he just takes like 5 or 6 extra turns, and he gets me down to the store. And then technically the match should have been a draw, but like he showed me that he could have just killed me next turn, so I concede, which, by the way, is what you should do in those situations if your opponent has the kill spell in hand and they can just show you, I'm about to win the game, but technically the game is over because we were at time and then we went to turns. It's like, you should just concede the game. Like, it was either I concede the game and he gets the win, or we both get a loss, which is not good for either of us either. So I conceded that game. So that was my first game, and that was my first loss. And then I think I won my second round, maybe my third round, and then I play Ira at some point. He's playing Geomancer with Roots, and he goes turn 1 Crossroads, and then turn like 4 or 5 he casts Tithe, and then he just like plays a Roots in the corner, and I'm like, okay, like clearly like writing on the wall, I know what's coming here. And then he plays King of the Realm, which is busted against Death Speaker because he just gains control of all of my Genesis minions as they enter, so he gets the Genesis ability. So yeah, that was just a complete beating. And then he plays Sinkhole, detonates Roots, blows up the whole board, and then my first site I play, and then the second site I draw is like a castle, and I can't even play it in the back row because I'm not close to it. It's just like a complete beating. So this is the face of someone who just roots someone, and this is the face of someone who just got rootsed. So yeah, that's what it looks like. And yeah, he was excited about this, the fact that we got to do this rematch, and he actually signed my playmat after I won the limited championship, and Bruce signed this corner. Very nice. So the final match opponent and Ira, who organized the league, and also like the best game that I played probably the entire weekend, was against Ira in that limited championship. So that was really awesome that we got to meet again. And then I did stick around. I watched the Crossroads final game, and then I just left like as soon as the game was over. But Duo took first place, and Juan Frapp, which is Pascal from Swiss national team. Yeah, he's like a professional soccer player or something in Switzerland. So that's pretty cool. I was secretly like really wanting him to win because he represents like the European player base, and of course I'm part of Sorcerers at the Core, which was started as a European player base for limited, and I just like inserted myself as the like, hey, let's open this up to the US player base. So of course I really wanted him to win for the sake of the European player base. All right, and then some of my prizes. So these were really cool pins. I'm sure you've probably seen pictures of these, but Ira handed these out. I ended up with 4 sets of these. They were just like participation prizes, and I think he gave me an extra one when I like won my draft on the first day or something. So yeah, these are really cool. This is just an action shot of me playing my sealed deck during the limited championship. I don't know who I'm playing there, but very, very serious action shot here. I wear these earplugs when I'm at big events like this. Otherwise, I get like way overstimulated and I can't focus. And it's just like way better to have some blockage there to make it so I'm not just like dying from all the noise. This is the final match. Here's me spectating Pascal. Unfortunately losing this final match. This is like one of the last turns of the game, I think. There's a video I just saw they released covering this game, so I haven't watched it yet, but the commentary on that's gonna be cool. And then there's Bruce. This is Squire back here. There's Roaring Turkey back here, who we never actually ended up talking, but because no one knew what he looked like, I think, until like a recent video that he did. Here's some more of my prizes. So of course my Shifting Sands Curio, very lucky to open that. This was from Kevmo. I got to meet him for the first time. I've listened to his podcast. If you haven't listened to his podcast, it sounds like he's bringing it back. He took a long break, but the All Things Contested Realm podcast, I think, is coming back. The Lone Tower Crossroads promo. This is like a foil that was just like a participation prize. I think the top 8 or 7 people got a full set of those, so that's pretty sweet. This was just in one of my prize packs from the limited championship. I opened a foil Doomsday device, and then this is a Dispel. I think this was just a participation thing. This is just like a cool little thing that I kept. This is how they marked where you were sitting for the top 8 draft. So someone wrote Froggy Mago and a Beast of Burden, and I kept it. And then this is the swap. So I drew a frog swimming through like a spring river, and I swapped that to Ira for this swap. So I've got my swap promo, of course. And then I got these cool enamel pins. I kept my awesome sorcerer with the blue dragon logo on it. And then I handed out probably over 100 of these frog sorcerer tokens. I guess I don't have a picture of the back of this handy, but on the back has a link to the Discord where I host the online drafts, and it has a link to this YouTube channel on there. So that's really cool. I like signed a bunch of them. And I wrote like Ribbit on a bunch of them, or like I wrote I Heart CJ or I Heart Bruce or whatever on these, and people like those a lot. So if you want to join the Discord, you can flip that over and type the URL in, and you can join the Discord. And then this is one of the prizes I got. I think anyone who went like 6-1 or better during the limited championship got one of these, but this is the foil Dispel, and this is the back of that artwork. I think this is the one that like there's like a sample card with this art that's like a counter spell or something. And another sweet prize I got is the Cornerstone playmat. So Ira, like I said, signed that corner, Bruce signed this corner, and I think that is the last of my prizing. I did get, I think, 6,000 dust for this event. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm pretty sure that's what I get. So 6,000 dust, that's quite a lot. That's like $600 worth of dust. So between that and the Dragon Lord and the Shifting Sands Curio and the Ring of Morrigan, that's like $1,000 or something worth of prizes and things that I opened. So I got just super lucky, and I had some amazing games. Again, yeah, thank you to the judges who made the great judge calls. I called so many judges during my event, not because my opponent was doing anything weird, but just because like there were some weird rules things that I wanted to make sure. And usually when you're playing at a local tournament or whatever, it's like whatever, like I'm pretty sure this is how this works. But when this judge is handy, it's so nice to just be able to raise your hand and be like, hey, can I ask you about this thing? How does this interaction work? And actually have like the official answer get to you. So that's really cool. Yeah, I got Roots for the first time, so thank you, Ira, for that. Lost to Infinite Turns for the first time. I'd never seen that combo assembled, so that was really cool. Yeah, met a ton of really sweet people for the first time in person. Like, I've interacted with so many of these people over Discord in the last year, and it was just great to be able to meet like Josh and Kevmo and like some of the judges that I know, and it was just such a blast. Like Brandon Posey, I think I met CJ for the first time, hanging out with Bruce. I met Bruce one other time at an Explorer Series event. Everyone's just so great in our community, especially the limited community. Like, everyone's so chill because the community's even smaller. Like, the sorcery community is already small, but the limited community is maybe like a quarter of that community. Yeah, shout out to anyone who's watching this, honestly, because you guys are like the top echelon of the sorcery community, in my opinion. Oh, Ruby Courier too. I haven't read the Ruby Courier that I got, but I'm gonna be digging into that, so shout out to that guy. He's very cool. All right, if I haven't earned a subscription on my YouTube channel yet, like, I think I've earned it now. You know, I won an 80-person tournament. This is the tournament that I came really wanting to take down. Like, I went 7-0 in limited, playing against some like really amazing limited players. So if you're not subscribed at this point, I think I need you to subscribe, because come on, like, I'm making only limited content over here. This is what you get when you listen to my content. Like, you'll be able to take down some big events like this by following my advice. And also, I need to give a very special thank you to Nick, because I learned so much from Nick. He's such an amazing co-host. What a guy, you know, like, he's been playing sorcery from the very beginning. He's been drafting every week basically since beta came out. So him and all the other European players that talk to each other about their strategies and what's good and what isn't, like, I've learned so much from those guys. So thank you so much for passing that information along to the community. All right, I think that is it for this one. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye, guys.